What do you think of when I say the word tragedy? Perhaps you think of a classical Shakespearean story such as Hamlet. Or maybe you think of disasters like wildfires and hurricanes. Or maybe you think of the fact that only 24% of my viewers are currently subscribed. But maybe, just maybe, you think of the Bison. Out of all the weapons in the game, the Bison has been the one that has been abused and beaten down by Valve the most, despite never even having legs to stand on. The continual nerfs to the Bison over the years have been depressing, and its story is nothing short of tragic. Take it from me, I've used the Bison a lot more than your average player. In fact, I killed Banny with it. Twice. And no, I'm never gonna let that go. But to truly understand the scope of the tragedy surrounding the Bison, I'm gonna have to go whole hog and tell you everything I know about it. Get the tissues, fellas. This one's gonna be a tearjerker.
I'll never make a video on the Bison.
Alright, and here I am in-game, gonna do a little live commentary because I figured the best way to show you why the Bison doesn't work is to show it in action. I even got a nice little soundboard here, so gonna play a nice little sound effect here. That was nice, very funny. Alright, so basically, a lot of the reason the Bison isn't good is it functions a lot like what better place to start a story than the ending? Rock bottom. I'm gonna tell you about the current stats of the Bison. Really look at the thing inside and out. Because to understand the fall from grace, you need to know the view from the top. And considering there's only like 12 people that have used the Bison for more than 5 minutes, most of you missed out on the climb. The current stats of the Bison reads as follows. The Bison does not require ammo. It fires a projectile that penetrates enemy players. The projectile cannot be deflected, and the Bison only deals 20% damage to buildings. Now the what, you may be thinking? Isn't that the same stats it's always had, you And first off, that was really out of pocket and harsh. But second off, not quite, as the devil really lies in the details here. And what I can only assume is a sick prank by the TF2 devs, the weapon, just like the Thompson, has some of the harshest hidden stats in the game. They lure you in with all of this shiny blue text, then BAM! They hit you with one of the worst weapons in the game. So I'm just gonna be objective here and let the facts speak for themselves. Here are the true stats of the Bison. This is what Valve tries to hide from you.
Alright, come on. He will never review the Bison stats.
All the same stats as before, but on top of this, you have a slightly faster reload time. I mean, it's minuscule, but that's not so bad, right? A 33% clip size reduction. Okay, yeah, now it's starting to look pretty rough. It fires a slow-ass projectile and isn't hit scan. It has a slower firing rate, and it deals substantially less damage. You may be thinking I'm being incredibly vague on that last stat, and you'd be correct, but that is something I'll be going very, oh so very in-depth later on, so don't worry your sweet little head. But needless to say, I don't think these stats are as appealing as the ones Valve tries to peddle to you like essential oils to suburban moms. But it didn't always used to be like this. There once was an age where the Bison was a little less terrible. So I think it's time I take you back. Back to a time where the Bison was still on the track. Our journey begins in 2011, when the Bison was added into TF2 as part of a collaboration with Weta Workshops. This means the Bison is over a decade old. To put that into perspective, that's older than the average The What Show viewer. This version of the Bison was almost entirely the same as its modern day incarnation, except one crucial detail. This right here! You might be wondering what it is, and honestly me too, because I totally forgot why I wrote that in the script. From 2011 to 2016, the Bison was basically viewed as the meme weapon it is today, basically used for spamming choke points and nothing else. But deep inside the TF2 community, unrest began to surface. The Bison was too powerful. Take it from TF2 expert engineer Goblin on September 11th, 2015 on the Steam forums. This soldier secondary needs a nerf. Not only can this gun penetrate players, but it does a lot of damage. This gun can kill almost all classes in 2 to 3 shots, and it does not require any ammo at all. Now you might be saying that it takes too long to kill height health classes like soldiers and heavies, but it really doesn't. Just shoot the Bison and then finish them off with your primary or melee. Using your secondary and primary together. Truly an overpowered genius strategy. Oh, and did I mention it can light huntsman arrows? Now you can just light an arrow at the beginning of the round and get an assist just shooting this gun at a sniper with a huntsman. So what do you guys think? Should this get nerfed or stay the same? And he was right. The Bison's ability to light huntsman arrows for little involvement and personal risk was just too game-breakingly powerful. But how? The folks at Valve scrambled for an answer. Engineer Goblin was right. The state of TF2 was falling apart, so they did what they had to do. They had to make an example of the Bison, and they did so by giving it one of the harshest nerfs in video game history. On July 7th, 2016, the Meet Your Match update would drop. This update has been kinda clowned on by the entire TF2 community for having some of the most questionable and goofy balance changes ever added to the game, like adding the ability to shove with the shortstops, and the nerfs to blatantly overpowered weapons like the Buffalo Steak Sandwich. But the most infamous changes to come out of the update was the absolute butchering of the Bison. After nearly 5 years in the game, the Bison would receive its first substantial balance change. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. If you're sensitive to disturbing subject matter, this next part might be a bit tough to handle.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
A lot of the changes made were in relation to the Bison's projectile. They started by making it only able to hit a target a single time. To those who are unaware, the Bison's projectile is unique in the fact that it can hit a single target multiple times, whereas others can only do it once. Depending on how long the hitboxes collide, you can hit the enemy up to 5 times. Valve took it upon themselves to make it more consistent by damaging an enemy one time. An admirable goal, surely, but the devs went about it in the worst possible way. They made it so the Bison can only deal a maximum damage of 54. 54 damage. That's awful. That's way less than the shotgun. Hell, that's way less than the Thompson. And it only keeps getting worse. On top of this, they slowed down the projectile speed. They slowed down the projectile speed so much, it was the slowest projectile speed in the game. And even though the Bison moved as slow as a rock and hurt about as much as sneezing on your enemies, Valve still decided that it wasn't enough. You know, the projectile penetration, the thing that's supposed to be the saving grace of the Bison. They nerfed that too. For every enemy you hit with one projectile, the damage would get lower and lower. It was awful. The Bison wasn't even good before. It was a total meme, man. What Valve did to the Bison was equivalent to punching an elderly lady in the face because you saw her jaywalking. Pretty much everyone reasonably hated these changes. There was a huge outcry to have them reversed. And after a year, the Jungle Inferno update came and reverted all the changes made during Meet Your Match. We did it, Reddit. We fixed the Bison. Yeehaw! Or did they? Yeah, not quite. I've been kind of vague about the Bison's projectile and hitbox because I've been saving it all for this precious moment. I'm about to drop a serious truth bomb on you. The Bison's projectile pre-Meet Your Match used flame particles as part of its hitbox. It's why the Bison was able to light huntsman arrows, as obviously overpowered as that was. But one of the biggest changes made in Jungle Inferno were the reworks of flame particles, and by reversing the changes made to Meet Your Match, the newly reworked Bison got stuck with the new flame particles. Problem is, the older Bison's particles let you hit a target a maximum of 5 times. The new Bison only lets you get to 3. Getting the max 3 hits basically only happens when your enemy is running in a straight line away from you, which is the most stupid way to balance a weapon. When people see you whip out the Bison, I can assure you the absolute last thing on their mind is running away in abject fear. This means most of the time you'll hit an enemy only once or twice at a maximum damage of 24 per hit. Most times you deal less damage than the Meet Your Match Bison. It's even possible to only clip an enemy once, which means at point blank range you'll be dealing an absolutely laughable 24 damage. Between the direction your opponent's heading, damage ramp up and fall off, and what angle you hit the enemy from, the damage the Bison deals is essentially random. Aiming the Bison is an absolute chore too, as the projectile speed is only 1200 hammer units per second. And if that number seems familiar, it might be because you spent an hour of your life watching me rant about it. Yes, it absolutely pleases me to inform you that the Bison shares the same exact projectile speed as the Thompson. And to avoid spending another precious hour of your life ranting about crappy laser guns, here's a shorter rant on why this is bad. Typically, lower projectile speeds are reserved for weapons with a big splash effect like sticky bomb launchers and rocket launchers, even the Girardi and Mad Milk. However, faster projectile speeds are normally reserved for weapons that require more precision for taking out singular targets, like the Huntsman and Direct Hit. Most of the time. The Bison falls into the lower end of the projectile speed camp, being slightly faster than stock rockets, but it doesn't have the splash damage. You need to predict your enemy's movement so far ahead, you need to have a freaking Jimmy Neutron brain blast to hit them. So not only is the Bison horribly inconsistent at dealing damage, it's hard to even deal the damage in the first place. I never thought I'd say this, but dear god, the Bison is just a worse version of the Thompson. It's just as hard to aim with it, but it deals less damage and doesn't even have the bonus utility the Thompson does. The only thing the Bison has even remotely going for it is right here, the enemy piercing. Because why use your rocket launcher to deal massive damage to a group of enemies, when you can deal 20 damage to 2 people hugging a payload cart? You want to know how good the piercing is? Guess how many collateral kills I got while getting clips for this video. Go on, guess. Now, put it in the comments, I mean it, I'm serious, tell me. 0. Freaking 0. I don't even have any new clips. So here's a clip of me doing it from one of my older videos. I don't even care anymore. So if the only relevant upside sucks, what about the other supposed upsides? Well, the infinite ammo stat is already pretty useless. The ammo pool of the shotgun is pretty generous, and if there's ever a time where you run out of ammo on your primary and your secondary, you need practice, not the Bison. Also, sure, the Bison is among the few projectiles the Pyro can't reflect, but that's not really an upside compared to the shotgun, because the shotgun is hit scan. It's not an upside, it's just the lack of another downside. So it deals far less damage than the shotgun, its upsides are irrelevant, it fires slower and has a smaller clip size. Why use the Bison? What conceivable advantage do you have by running it over the shoots, boots, and doots? There's absolutely none! Looking back, perhaps I was too harsh on the Thompson. Now I know there's a new second worst weapon in the game. Maybe it even surpasses the Gas Passer, and I'm not saying that lightly. But what if you still wanted to use the Bison? You're not in it for the frags. You're in it for the honor. The glory. You will swear by the Bison and live a valiant life. How do you use the unusable?
I'll never fire that on stairs. I told you so.
If you seriously want to use the Bison, you're gonna need the patience and self-discipline of a monk. But if you're willing to put the work in, it can actually pay off, and not in the way you'd expect. The Bison, despite being worse than the Thompson of all things in almost every conceivable way, has at least one strength in comparison. The Thompson is a primary. The Bison is a secondary. The stock rocket launcher can deal a maximum damage of 112. Combine that with a laser that hits only once, and you've successfully snagged a kill on a light class. Therefore, the only reliable way to get Bison kills is to use it in conjunction with your primary. Trying to use it solo is a lost cause. As the famous Engineer Goblin once said, using your primary and secondary is the most overpowered strategy one can use. At least I think that's what he was inferring there. Landing a laser with the Bison can be especially easier if you pop them into the air with a rocket first and follow up with a laser shot. Since your target doesn't have a lot of momentum in the air, you'll be able to pierce them at least twice. I call it the boink and doink. Because at this point, my videos are just excuses to make up dumb phrases like super boop and boink and doink. You can't stop me. And on the off chance you see someone running away from you in a perfectly straight line, feel free to fire a laser at them. Who knows? If the stars are aligned in your favor, you might do a little less damage than the normal shotgun. Yes! The Bison can also be slightly useful for spamming down choke points after you run out of rocket launcher ammo. I mean, you're bound to hit something, and just maybe that something has 20-ish health left. You may notice that all of my genuine tips for using the Bison have all been sarcastic and very unhelpful, but that's because the Bison is irredeemable and useless to its core. Trying to give a tutorial on using the Bison is like trying to give a tutorial on how to piss with your eyes closed. What's the point? Why even bother? But there is purpose to using the Bison, and it isn't for any of the upsides the weapon has to offer. The reason you use the Bison is more spiritual, and it's something I've even said in an older video. It's the fact that people respect the Bison. Every weapon in this game has its haters, people who will complain about anyone and anything. Hell, I've had a couple people tell me to take myself out of existence for using the Thompson. But the one weapon that gets universal respect is the Bison. If you manage to beat the odds and kill someone with it, chances are they're gonna hop in chat and give you kudos. It's impossible to get mad at someone using the Bison because the Bison is in fact so trash, there is nothing to get mad at. No overpowered stat or strategy, and even random crits suck on it too. The Bison is a truly enlightened piece of garbage. Dude, I killed someone with the Bison! Let's go! He said, you fucking chat, I'm going to kill you! Okay. Never mind, I guess not everyone respects the Bison. My golden rule has been broken. I'm going to drop a piano on you.
Hello, gamers. It's me, Jesus. My friend, the What, has called upon my holy swagness to tell you I've created an 11th commandment. If you see someone using the Bison, you have to respect them. If not, I'm personally reserving your spot in hell next to the person that invented Twitter.
Hey, you heard friggin' Jesus say it himself, man. If you see someone using the Bison, you have to put respect on their name. And with that last truth, I end the tragic tale of the Bison. Though it has tragically fallen from grace, or at least mediocrity, its name rings out through legend. A legend of honor, commitment, and will for the few who decide to wield it. At least I think, I don't know. Boy, writing this script sure is hard. Hopefully nothing monumental happens that disrupts my creative process. No, God, no, I'm never gonna get this video done. No! Oh my god, you can play as Claude? You can play as Claude? No!
Okay, that's cool and all, but come on, he will never two black men kissing. I mean, come on. Oh,